guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Tita's of Pageantry, and as you can see, I have a very special guest today. She is, of course, Miss Earth USA 2021, Marisa Paige Butler. Good evening, Marisa.
Good morning to you, I believe. How are you doing? Thank you for having me on.
I am fine. How are you doing? Thank you for gracing my channel.
Of course, I really appreciated the invitation to be able to come on here and share about my advocacy and my journey to the Miss Earth crown. So I really appreciate this opportunity. And I just want to say I love your twinkly lights that you have on behind you. It's so
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you. Unfortunately, this isn't a good idea when you have cats, and I'm known in the industry as having cats. So, yeah, they're hustling my twinkle lights.
The cat stole the show during the Getting to Know You challenge at Miss Earth. If you had been able to log
Oh, you
on,
were there.
yes, there was a bunch of cats that kept popping up. So I feel like anytime like you're giving attention to a camera, the cat wants to be involved. They're the real queens here.
I know a lot of them got sick recently, and some
Oh.
of them have actually passed away. But I do know that it's part of the charm of this channel to see them running around and maybe to test how focused I could be when I'm interviewing or doing my episodes. So they've been pretty challenging, but a good part of this
Yes.
thing I've been producing. All right. So you were there. You watched it, the Miss Earth Australia show.
Yes, yes. No, it was so
Are you
wonderful.
always so involved, especially now that a lot of the pageants are done virtually? Are you trying to keep up also with the other national pageants?
Of course, it's something I definitely have been trying to do. Any of the ones that, I can catch because obviously with all the time zones and working a day job and having to get enough sleep at night, that comes into factor. But anytime I do get a chance to see some of the other pageants or all of the interviews, I really want to be there and supporting and getting to know my fellow delegates, especially since it's virtual and we don't get the opportunity to forge those friendships in person. So I like to take a moment to at least try to get to know all the girls. I've sent out messages to probably at least half of them on Instagram. Whenever I see a new one pop up, I try to say hello. So I'm really trying to still have that sisterhood experience, even though it's virtual. I did get to meet Miss Cuba when I was in Miami filming for Miss Earth. We went out to lunch together. So anytime I get an opportunity to meet a fellow sister queen, I definitely take it up.
That's right. It's a little different. I read your bio. Of course, I have followed your journey. Like every time you would join like a pageant and your name would pop up. Of course, I mean, as pageant fans, as pageant admins, I mean, we're very familiar. So this setup is definitely different from the other setups that you got yourself involved with. You had the stint at Miss World. This is definitely so much different because Miss World back then was large scale. You had a lot of contestants doing a lot of activities face to face. So, how was the adjustment like now that, of course, Lindsay was crowned in a virtual manner and you had to take over and also complete the preparation virtually? How was that transition?
Well, I was very fortunate that this isn't my first virtual pageant.
Mhm.
So not many people realize that rather than just being appointed as Miss World America back in 2018, I actually competed in a virtual pageant back then. That's how it was selected. So I have a little bit of experience working within the virtual format. But I'd say this year, what really has been making the biggest difference is making sure I'm doing as many interviews similar to what we're doing here today to be able to really spread the message and to get to know fans from all across the world. I have had the most outpouring of love and support that I've ever had on my pageant journey by competing for Miss Earth. And I think it really goes to show that that's what happens when you are in the right system at the right time as the right version of yourself. And Miss Earth truly is the system that embodies who I am as a person most. So I'm so excited to be here. And I know we all wish we could go to the Philippines and meet each other in person, but there's
Yeah.
so many other positives that that we can gain from having a virtual competition. I think you get to know the girls on a much deeper level because we're utilizing these amazing things like these interviews, being able to do our live get to know you and personality checks. And I'm really looking forward to the color segment later this week. So that way you get to know the contestants on a more personal level. And I'm able to do more of my service work here in my community because I don't have to take 5 weeks off or give or take 5 weeks to go to an international pageant. So I'm able to really be a boots on the ground type of queen, which is who I am as a person. I always want to be known as the queen who did the work. And now I get to do that without having to stop. So there's a lot of positives, even though, yes, we wish we could all get to know each other in person, but we have to adjust and go with the flow. And I think that's a big part of pageantry is learning how to adjust and utilize the platform that you have.
I like how you mentioned this because I also noticed this with a lot of the pageant girls these days, as opposed to pageant girls pre-COVID. Because now we don't have a choice but to utilize technology. I think now we do more research about each other. Like I find myself doing more reading. I'm sure a lot of the candidates out there would do more research about their other co-candidates, either to strategize or to just get to know them more. So Miss Earth actually paved the way of making it more acceptable to go into a virtual setup. I know a lot of people are still very upset that the finals will be virtual this time, but it does have its merits. What do you think are the other things that you might be able to convince other naysayers about going virtual, at least for Miss Earth?
Well, the one thing I'm very excited about is being able to showcase the beauty of my country and share that with the world. So I have chosen locations to shoot each of my competition clips to highlight some of the places that I love most in the United States. And I also am getting a chance to travel within my country to showcase that all to you. So that's something I've been very excited about. So I feel like you get to know the contestants, like I said, a lot more. It makes the contestants more accessible to the general public by being able to
Yeah,
do these interviews. Whereas beforehand, when it is just done in a stage format, I feel as if it's almost detached from the
yeah,
actual fan base. So you get to have more interactions with them. I've gotten to know who my fans are. I see their names like pop up time and time again. And, I feel like I'm really making a connection with them that's been lasting not just for the duration of the pageant, but since I've been crowned. I've been able to create these relationships and harvest them through the use of social media and through technology and interviews. And I think it's truly been a real blessing because like I said, I've never felt more love and support. And I think it really is because I've been making myself accessible to my fans and followers who are helping support me. Because without the fans, pageantry wouldn't exist. We need our fans to be able to help uplift us and make our voice bigger and reach more audiences. So it's really important that we are getting to know them. So I think that is a wonderful part. Of doing things virtually. And I hope that that continues once we do return to the stage. I know we all want to return to the stage. I'm hoping they will be able to do that next year and that they would invite Lindsay. I feel so much for Lindsay. My heart goes out to her. I mean, winning her national virtually and her international virtually and now giving up her crown virtually. I'm really hoping that they do extend an invitation to her to come to the Philippines on their next live pageant because she truly does deserve to have that live in-person moment in pageantry, being such a wonderful queen that she is. So even though we're all hoping for the stage to come back very, very soon, I really hope that we don't forget the wonderful lessons we have learned through the virtual format.
nice. And you know what? I really liked what you said about making yourself available out there, getting to know your fans, seeing their names pop up, and utilizing this fan base to really amplify your voice. And I say this because we recently had a string of national pageants here in the Philippines. And of course, part of what we do as pageant admins and as pageant analysts is to really try to get to know the girls, try to gauge their skills, like what works for them, what might not work for them. And we noticed that there were a lot of girls who, I don't know, just probably got tired of social media altogether and hid behind the rocks and just allowed all other people do the PR work for them. I personally am not very agreeable to this because I feel like, as candidates, whether you're popular or you're not so popular, you have to do the work. But with you, I like the direction that you recognize the power of social media and how you should be able to present yourself out there because no one else will work for you to do that.
Exactly. It's a wonderful tool when used correctly. And I do believe it's another job. And I understand the fatigue that could come with it, especially being one of the first ones crowned within our batch. I've been actively campaigning for my Road to Miss Earth since I think it was April of 2019, when I first started my road as Miss Maine Earth USA. And so that's just been a bunch of interviews and a lot of social media outreach and getting to know my fans during that time. And it has become another job. So I can understand the fatigue of some of the contestants. But as I've been telling all my friends and family lately who ask, well, aren't you tired? Don't you need to take a break? It's temporary, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't want to walk away from this opportunity thinking, what if I did more? I waited my 10 years in pageantry to enter into Miss Earth as my last pageant because I wanted to be the most prepared that I have ever been within a pageant. I wanted to give it my all because I knew this pageant was what really resonated with my heart the most. And this was going to be my moment to be able to show the world my true self. And that really has been an earth advocate since I was a little girl. So I don't want to waste this opportunity and this platform that I've been given, especially knowing all the amazing women who stood on that stage with me at Miss Earth USA. I'm not up here just representing myself. I'm up here
Yeah.
representing every single one of those women who would have also loved to have this opportunity to go to Miss Earth. So I think it's so important as national title holders to remember that you're not just representing yourself, you're not just representing your country, but you're also representing your co-candidates that helped forge you into the woman you are. And that is what really has kept me going, knowing it's temporary, but I don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Nice. I mean, that is true. I mean, not there are billions of us. Not everyone gets the chance to be a beauty queen because of course there are beauty standards. There are things such as weight and height and beauty of face and intelligence and composure. So I would definitely understand, and I like this attitude on any candidate, knowing that this isn't something that you should take for granted because not a lot of us get to have this opportunity. Even if we're just fans, or not a lot of us are like physically gifted, Marissa. So I mean, I like that it's not just about the physicality anymore. It's
Yes.
something deeper, like
Mhm.
a larger audience for a larger cause. But before that, let's get to know Marissa a little bit. I've read a number of articles about you, but these are mostly chronicling your beauty pageant journey, which I will be asking you later on. But Marissa, please, reintroduce yourself to us. Give us a rundown of who Marisa Butler really is.
Of course. So I'm a 27-year-old financial advisor living in San Diego, California. I really found my love for environmentalism when I was a little girl growing up in Maine. My mother helped me rehabilitate animals and really taught me the importance of putting Mother Nature first. And I carried on that love to college, where I also worked as a volunteer for NOAA's cooperative shark tagging program. So through that program, I got to work directly with a biologist in the field, taking down data on sharks and getting to work hand on with sharks, which is an amazing and crazy opportunity. And probably the most interesting thing I feel like I have ever done. I got to travel from Massachusetts to Florida, and then also staying on a boat for 2 weeks in Puerto Rico with this program. And our data was actually used to help restrict fishing on the Atlantic mako shark. So it was really amazing to see, my volunteerism truly make an impact and a long lasting one. So when I moved to San Diego, I really wanted to make sure I still was making this big impact. I started volunteering with a lot of nonprofits, especially environmental nonprofits, as a way to get to know my community, to make friends, and then also give back. I've always found it very therapeutic being out in nature and working with nature. So I decided that I not wanted to only be a volunteer, but I wanted to lead my own nonprofit organization. So in 2020, I'm sorry, in 2020, I started We Clean Trails. And so this was a nonprofit organization that goes every single Saturday morning to take up trash within my local community. We've been able to remove over 10,000 pounds as a group since we started, which is completely mind-blowing since it started off as just me and my dog, and now it's this huge family of people who are coming together. And I actually just recently wrote a children's book about We Clean Trails from my dog Milo's perspective. And I'm having my Miss Earth USA Eco, who was our fifth runner-up at the national pageant. She's actually my artist for the book, so we're
Oh,
really excited. She just sent me over a few pages today, and it should be done by mid-November, so we'll be able to get it out in time for Christmas, which I'm very excited about. But outside of my environmental work, like I said, I studied economics, both at Stonehill College and then in London at King's College. And I was a three-sport collegiate athlete, having played soccer, lacrosse, and cheerleading. So I'm no stranger to always being busy. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm a very avid dog mom. I know I've mentioned Milo a few times before, but
cute.
my favorite thing in the world to do is to go to the beach with him. So that's a little snippet of who I am as a person, so you kind of can get a feel for who I am and what my personality is.
Wow. So what I can say is that you're a ball of energy packed in that really pretty packaging. Speaking of pretty packaging, I also read, here in the Philippines, we're big on ancestry. I don't know where we stand. We like our full-blooded Filipino girls, but we also have the same respect for our like half-blooded ones, and we like the idea of picking on ancestry. And I read that you have quite a number that makes up this pretty face. Please tell us more about it.
Yes, so on my father's side, I am Irish and English, but my mother's side is a little more interesting. We have French, we have Spanish, and Native American. We did a DNA test recently, and I think there was a few others in Europe, but those were the main focuses for us as far as what my genetic makeup was. And then a little history, my father's side, which is the Butlers. They were the Butlers that lived in the Kilkenny Castle back for like 400
Oh,
years. So that family, they were related to Anne Boleyn, which was really amazing to find out. I only knew that when I traveled to Ireland to visit our ancestral home at Kilkenny Castle, and I went
oh
on a
yeah.
tour, being able to see, portraits of my ancestors, and to hear the wealth of knowledge that the tour guides had there. It was just an amazing opportunity. And the cool part about my family is the Butlers, they have a three wine glasses as their family crest, and that was because they were
Okay.
in charge of all the imports and exports of wine into Ireland at the
Wow.
time. So
That
that's
is interesting.
but the funny part is I don't drink, so I feel
What?
like I let my
What?
family down. Yeah.
That's sad. Like that was music to my ears when I heard wine, and then what? It's very interesting, Marissa. I mean, I'm always fascinated whenever I would watch like shows on like DNA testing or like tracing your roots. So that was really fun. And I read about that extensive family, like Irish and French and Native American. But if I'm being very honest with you, because I first came across you in 2016 at Miss USA, and I remember because I have a friend, he is Cuban American. His name is Chuck. Hi, Chuck. I remember we would go through the Miss USA girls, and I remember your photo. We locked in on you. We thought you were actually Greek. I mean, we thought you had like that Greek ancestry going on. So, really, really very pretty face. And this one has got you into modeling as well, right?
Yes, I do a little bit of modeling on the side. I will say my main source of income is working
Mm-mm.
as a financial advisor. That is a pretty taxing job, so that does take up most of my time. But I do some modeling on the side, and it's more of a hobby for me. I do have a few clients that I work with very consistently. One is actually my dress designer who did my final gown at Miss Earth
Miss
USA.
Earth, the gold one.
Yes. So Rene
Beautiful.
Atelier, they're actually a family friend of mine. I model for both their wedding gowns and then their couture evening gowns as well. So that's probably the most consistent one, but I'll do a few here and there, of course, but it's never really been my main
Never
focus.
like a
My
big
focus
thing.
is on my career. Yes.
But how could people focus? Like you give them financial advice, and I would just look at your face probably and say, "What is she saying? How could people focus?"
Well, I will say a lot of my client meetings is done over the phone.
Ah,
So you
okay.
don't necessarily see me. I do remember a really fun time where I was talking with one of my favorite clients. And she is a woman who lives in San Diego. And at one point, she decided to Google me. And then she called me up and she's like, well, hello, Miss Earth USA. You never told me you did this. Like, you didn't tell me you were this beautiful woman. And so she went on, and now she always calls me up and calls me Miss Earth USA and Queen. And
That's
I just think it's
super
really
nice. That's
cute and
like a
sweet.
perk. You should have utilized it even more. But what about like your coworkers? Are they like supportive of what you entered yourself into? I mean,
Oh,
I'm sure they have
they
an
are
idea.
so supportive. I'm so fortunate to be working at the company that I'm in because it really is a family company. As most of my coworkers, their last name is the name of our company, which is the Lucias. So they're a big Italian family. They're very
Okay.
warm and loving, and they've been very supportive on my journey to Miss Earth. And when I was going for Miss Earth USA. In fact, my boss even has a dump truck that he helps me with my cleanups. So he'll come to our
Huh.
major cleanups and remove the trash, and he even pays for the dump fee for us. And that's like his donation to us, which is really wonderful. So I really truly feel supported by my work. And I'm excited because once I am done with the pageant, they're helping me do video and podcasts about ESG investing, and that stands for environmental social governance. So
Okay.
basically, this is an investing type that selects companies that are doing good for the environment, doing good for people, and have a wonderful structure where they're not overpaying their CEOs and they're paying their employees. They're a fair and equitable company. So I think this is a wonderful way to invest because you're not only investing to raise your funds and your retirement for the future, but you're also investing in the future of the earth and the people in it. So they're going to be helping me put together videos and informational talks on podcasts about ESG once I conclude my reign as either Miss Earth USA or Miss Earth, when I'll have a little bit more time. That way I can kind of carry in my love and passions into my workspace as well and kind of mold those two worlds together. So they've been so supportive, and I'm so happy to be working with the company that I'm with.
That's super interesting because I feel like, of course, a lot of people want to help the environment. I mean, it's a grand idea. Sometimes it's even too vague to even go into. But what you're telling me, I feel, is something more tangible because I remember at the local pageant here, one of the questions that was asked for a pre-pageant activity, no, it was Q&A preliminary question. The girls were asked if they could uh, eliminate one thing: corruption in government, hunger and poverty, or solve environmental problems. And of course, some of the girls picked one, some of the girls picked all. But I actually like your direction because if it were up to me, if I would choose on solving environmental problems. I think that this program that you're planning is something that would also touch on financials, touch on communities, because yeah, I like the idea of rewarding companies who do really well with their environmental causes. So yeah,
Exactly.
I
And the
hope,
amazing part is
this
you don't have to
grows.
sacrifice
Mm,
gains within your portfolio by investing in environmentally sustainable companies, because they actually showed that in recent studies that the companies that score highly on ESG ratings actually outperform their market counterparts more often than not. My point of like what I think that is usually the companies, when they're making decisions and thinking more forward about how does our decision now affect the future, that's showing a holistic approach to their decision making process. And it also shows empathy and respect for others other than just their initial bottom line. And usually that means that those companies will do far better long term than their counterparts. And the type of investing I do is mostly long term investing, so that's really what I look for in a company is, are they going to be stable long term? Do I see the price of this company going up for the long haul? And if you are not taking into account, environmental or social issues, then that won't happen, especially with our new generation coming through. I mean, my generation and millennials, they care so deeply about the environment. And when we have the majority of the funds able to be invested in the future, we're going to be the decision makers. So if those companies aren't keeping up, they're not going to do well in the future. So
right.
I think it's important to remember that, especially if any companies out there, that you need to also be thinking about the future, and what that means for you.
And it's nice because it could also influence like newer companies or companies that are just startups to really go
Yes.
into that path, or that thinking that it's no longer about being excessive, it's more about being sustainable, and it's all about you know having more of a take home pay than getting everything all out for,
Yes.
I don't know, maybe equipment, or paying more people, or creating more trash. So I hope you get the chance to really talk about this one in depth, when you get the chance to do so at Miss Earth, because I feel like, of course, when you talk about environmental causes at Miss Earth, it's broad. It could be
Yes.
about the waters, it could be about the air, it could be about the forest. But if this is something that is like knowledge that you definitely have, more information on, yeah, go for it, talk more about this. I think this
Thank
is very
you.
promising. Now, from what I heard about your growing up years, is that you seem to be involved in environmental causes, even if you weren't in a competition that's environmentally inclined. So even when you were competing at Miss
Exactly.
World, at Miss America, Miss USA, was it because of the environment? Because Maine is just a really beautiful, I don't know, when I look at it in pictures, when I look at it in videos, it's very put together, it's very green. Is it the environment that really got you to these causes?
I definitely think that was a factor. So I was very fortunate when I was growing up. My house actually bordered a wildlife preserve. So my
Mm, okay.
backyard, I would
Mm,
walk out a little bit and then I was already in a nature preserve. So I got to see the beauty of undisturbed nature. And Maine is really unique within the United States. We actually have more forested land in the United States per square mile than any other state. So we have such wonderful forest coverage. We definitely have our culture is very rooted within the environment. Our biggest industry is fishing, and they do it in a very sustainable way where they're respecting, the natural resources and not overfishing. So there is a huge connection there to nature when I was a very little girl that was just very prevalent for where I was growing up. And I think that the reason why in my advocacy, I truly advocate for people to have meaningful experiences within nature is because that's really where I learned all the important lessons that I needed to be able to protect Mother Earth. I think in order for us to do this, we need to instill love, respect, empathy, and accountability in everyone towards Mother Earth. And the best way about doing that is getting outside and falling in love with the nature around you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not everyone gets that experience or
Yes.
opportunity because they either grew up in a city or they are a different socioeconomic class. So traveling out into nature isn't necessarily an easy task for them. So one thing I would love to see is within the United States school system or even across the world would be a required environmental volunteering for our high school students, for our middle school students to go and work with an environmental organization and get outside and see the work that these people are doing. Because it was through volunteering that I think that I truly found a passion and love. And it was the knowledge that I learned from the volunteer leads. And that's why I decided I wanted to become a volunteer lead myself, because they made such an impact on me. And I truly think that that is the biggest thing that we can do to change people's mindsets. I'm always so happy when I have little kids come to my cleanups. We have them as young as 4 years old. I remember this little boy, Sterling, who came, who was very young. I think he was 4 or 5. And he came to a second one a few weeks later, and he was like, Marissa, I told my whole class about our cleanup, and then we went and did a
That's
cleanup
PR
in our
gold.
neighborhood, you know, and it's just really wonderful. And that was really where my inspiration for writing my children's book came from, because I think if we're able to capture the heart of youth and to really teach them to love Mother Earth from an early age and to respect her, that we can really start to win this fight for Mother Earth. Uh, Unless we all love and care, it's just not going to happen. And so that's where we need to start, is those meaningful experiences within nature.
It's always nice when you get to encounter children who is just a lot kinder with nature, kinder with animals, because yeah, kids can be a little brutal. But it's always nice to, start them really young, because at least for my generation, I'm a little older, maybe a lot older than you girls. So in our generation, that wasn't really an issue. So whenever we would have like new environmental issues that would come up, a lot of us would just brush it off and say it doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
But the new generation now, because of maybe technology, maybe because of the exchange of information, they're more keen on these things.
Yes.
And I like how you have very different ideas on how to fix everything, because the past generations have done nothing
Mm-hmm.
to even
Well,
recognize
when you
that.
have a love for Mother Earth, when
Yeah,
you've had those great experiences outdoor and you see the true beauty,
yeah,
you carry on that feeling when you're making decisions in your day-to-day life. If you're, always using a paper towel, you might stop and think, oh, is there a better way that I can do this? Like I know myself, like I've replaced all paper towels with these wonderful dish rags that I've gotten online. And I don't even really use paper towels anymore. There's
anymore.
all these little switches. Like once your heart is open to it, you start looking for ways that you can be more sustainable, the ways you can help, curb climate change and lower your CO2 emissions. But until you care, you're not going to be seeing or wanting to see to make those decisions, because it's not the easy route. So I think that's where it really starts. We need to start with changing people's hearts so that they will carry on those decision making processes into their day-to-day life.
I remember, because you mentioned it doesn't, well, it's nice if you have children to teach. I mean, you can impart that knowledge, but for the older generation, it has to come from them. They have to
Yes.
experience this. And I remember, because my mother lives in Tokyo, she lives alone. And I talk to her every day online. So, um, of course, she has had her ways, and she has carried on. And she buys these things, and one day she tells me, I'm not gonna buy it anymore. And I say, why? Because the price is so high, I can't keep up. And with the pandemic and everything, this isn't something that I can eat, this isn't something that could nurture me. And I was like, yeah. I mean, sometimes the realization is hard, but you really have to recognize that sometimes it's just really painful in the pocket. So you have to make
Yes.
these changes.
Oh, definitely. I think that that's why it's so important for those who are in more stable socioeconomic classes to, they're the ones who really need to make those changes because they're the ones
Mhm.
who can afford to. Not every single person is going to be able to afford to eat organic or, have a vegetarian diet or, buy all these reusable things and change their lifestyle. But usually in the long term, those options are cheaper because they're something you can reuse. But that initial step to buy those things, it is more expensive on day one than it would be to buy the disposable option. But again, like I say, as an investor, I always think of what is the long term. And in the long term, you're going to save money by not buying things that are disposable. But like I said, we need to make sure that we do help those in lower socioeconomic classes make those good decisions by having good stimulus programs in place to assist them in really trying to get our entire economy to be more sustainable so that those products are cheaper. The more people who are, buying these environmentally sustainable products, it's all supply and demand. The more demand, we are being able to lower that price because then it's economies of scale. People will be able, the producers will be able to make them in bigger quantities and make them cheaper and sell them for a lower price. So it really starts with those who have the purchasing power today to make those good decisions. So anyone who can afford it, I strongly, strongly urge them to truly think about, their impact on not only the environment, but what their spending habits can do to help those who are in lower socioeconomic classes in the future, having those products become more accessible later on.
But Marissa, being a financial advisor,
Mhm.
being a graduate of economics, and a beauty pageant girl, this time around a Miss Earth USA, are you seeing more of these changes in effect? I mean, are you seeing more positive thinking in terms of spending, in terms of being more environmentally aware, especially that now that you get to talk more about these things more?
Yes, like I said, there is going to be a big shift with who really has a spending power within this world by the end of 2030. So there will be more women having access to funds than men at that point. We'll also start to see, like I said, my millennial generation that really cares about the environment. They are very strong in their opinions and where they're spending their money. So they are really encouraging companies to be able to go more sustainable because if they're not, those consumers are not putting their dollars there anymore. They're really being selective on who they end up purchasing from, which I think is a beautiful thing, is pushing our economy into the right direction to be more sustainable long term. But right now, we're still, like you said, dealing with some of those older generations that might be very stubborn and stuck in their ways. And in the meantime, we just need to start to make sure that we're making the right decisions so that when we do have more of the purchasing power, I mean, more women are environmentally focused than men on average. More of the youth are more environmentally focused on average than those who are in older generations. So we're going to see that trend. And if companies don't keep up, they're going to get left behind. And we're
I think
seeing that
so.
with
Yeah.
them being more financially stable companies who are environmentally focused. So I do see there is a start to that momentum
Right.
going that way. We're not perfect yet. We're not even
We're not
close.
there.
We're not
Yeah.
even close to perfect. We're so far away from where we actually need to be. But I do see the baby steps being taken, and I'm very excited for what that could mean for our future.
I want to relate this now to your pageant preparation for Miss Earth because I think one of the reasons why the virtual thing was pushed was also to be mindful of materials, mindful of expenses.
Mhm.
How is your Miss Earth preparation different from your last major pageant, Miss World, in terms of being more environmentally aware with everything that comprises your preparation for the big pageant?
Well, I think that the really great thing about the virtual pageant is less focus on, the clothes and the glamour, and more focus on your intelligence, is more focused on the work you're doing in your community. So the things that I really have been focusing on more than anything has been my interview, it's been my work with my nonprofit and really growing that organization. So I think that it really is beautiful because instead of just talking about the work we're doing, we're actually out there doing the work,
Yeah.
and really being a boots on the ground type of a queen. And that has always been something that I loved. I prefer to be out there working with my community. I always joke that I have my two crowns. I have my crown, and then I have my hat that says Miss Earth USA on it, and I wear that one far more than I wear my crown. And that's the type of queen I'd want to be, is someone who really is boots on the ground, who is volunteering and working directly with people within different communities and truly making an impact on the environment uh, by my own hands. And so I think that that is something that I've really focused on, and I don't know if that is the main focus on all the other girls, but for me it really has been the physical work that has been taking the biggest precedent as far as what my preparation has been.
You know what? That's really true because, we always say there are candidates that come along that we say, oh, she's perfect for Miss Universe, she's perfect for supranational. And over time, we have picked up on what could actually work at Miss Universe, who could work at Miss World. I mean, who could be a good fit at Miss Grand International or Miss International. But with Miss Earth, what we do know is that it's not always really beauty based. I remember when we do like our analysis for Miss Earth, usually it's not about the hot picks. They go a different direction altogether when crowning. And we tried to get to learn more about this. And apparently they're saying that Miss Earth is heavily focused on attitude
Mhm.
because they want to crown someone who could work with them, knowing that Miss Earth isn't exactly the most glamorous alpha pageant out there. Most of the Miss Earth girls, they do groundwork, they do the digging, they do the trash collecting. I mean, glam photos and glam events are just a teeny tiny part of what Miss Earth does. Is this something that resonated with you, knowing that you've competed in high level pageantry before?
Yes, I think that the thing about Miss Earth that really made it the one that I wanted to strive for most was the fact that it really did fit my personality and who I was. I felt like when I was going into, Miss USA or Miss America or Miss World, that the candidate, the type of girl that they were looking for wasn't quite who I was. And I never felt like I could truly showcase and shine in who I am as a person, which is why whenever any younger girls ask me about, oh, what pageant system should I join? I was like, you really have to stop and get to know yourself first, because you want to be aligned with a pageant system that's going to let you shine is your most true self, because that's what people gravitate to. They can sniff out if someone's fake or just doing it for the pageant. So unless it's something that's truly in your heart, it's not going to come across as well. So I think it's so important to select a pageant that represents who you are as a person. And for me, Miss Earth really does. Like you said, I've been doing environmental work long before we even had an idea about what pageants were. So my volunteer work really is stemmed from my heart and not from any type of ulterior motive or trying to, do the work just for the crown. This has been a huge part of who I am as an identifier, has been an environmentalist and earth advocate. So I really love the fact that Miss Earth focuses a lot on intelligence, a lot on attitude, and a lot on your environmental impact. Because for me, those are the most important values. Anyone can learn to do beautiful hair, beautiful makeup, and they can get help with styling. So I think that the most important part is truly who you are as a person inside, what is in your heart. And I think that it's very beautiful that Miss Earth really does focus on, who you are as a person. And so I'm very excited to be in a system that I feel like I can really showcase who I am. I don't have to try to change who I am to fit their stereotype. I mean, I even went to Miss World, who's known as a humanitarian pageant with an environmental platform.
Oh, I see.
So, this is something that has been really ingrained in who I am as a person. I'm very excited to be in an organization that truly values that.
In your case, because you have represented the USA at Miss World, and now you have another opportunity to represent USA at Miss Earth, and I think it's a little heavier now because the reigning Miss Earth is from the USA, and she's the first from the USA who have been joining Miss Earth for the longest time. How does it feel that now people are talking about you being in position to win a back to back? I mean, that's pretty
Well, I
amazing,
will
right?
say one of the amazing parts about that is there are a lot of eyes on me, so I'm able to utilize that to be able to really share my message and share my story on a bigger platform than I ever have before. Like I said, I feel like I have more support and love participating in Miss Earth because people truly see that this is what I have brought to the table. This is the right system for me. So being able to not only have that micro glass on myself because I have Lindsay as my predecessor, I think only intensifies my voice and gives me more opportunity to show who I am. Within pageants in the United States, growing up in Maine, it's a very small state. So I never had that sash factor. I always had to, be fighting for my attention to be able to say I'm here, and to have my voice be heard. So it's really exciting to be in the position where I'm at because win or lose, I have a wonderful opportunity to reach so many people because Lindsay was before me. So I think that is a really important thing to know is that you need to make the best of every situation that life hands you. And I'm really trying to utilize this opportunity to have my voice be heard. And I'm hoping that you all see the amount of work and effort that I've been putting into all the areas of the competition. And, I just want to make sure I'm representing myself as best as I can because I have so many people who are believing in me and supporting in me. And so I'm doing it all for them. And so I really want to be able to bring that back-to-back crown home for the United States. It would be the most amazing way to end my pageant journey, especially because Miss Earth means so much to me. But, either way, I'm able to utilize this momentum in this moment to really make a long impact in the world. And that's really what Miss Earth is all about, is making those positive impacts. So I already feel very successful in that right alone going into this pageant. And so, no matter what happens, I'm just very excited for this opportunity and to be ending my pageant career in a system that truly holds my heart.
You know what? Let's strengthen that. I'm gonna shower you with virtual fairy dust because, if I may, let me flex this a little bit. They say that when you grace this channel for an interview, you increase your chances of winning. Um, oh, let's see if that's gonna still hold true because yeah, let me flex it. I was able to interview Lindsay before she competed at Miss Earth, and then I also interviewed Rabia Mateo, our representative at Miss Universe Philippines before she won, as well as Gazini, another representative for Miss Universe. So I don't know. Maybe it's the magic. I hope it falls on you because,
Oh, thank
like
you.
what I mentioned, I followed your journey. Maybe not as intensively as the others, but every time you would compete, every time I would read posts or articles and your name would come up, then yeah, we get to talk about you a little bit. But this time around, I'm seeing the change in aura. I'm seeing that you are more excited talking about Miss Earth, talking about your role as Miss Earth USA and, this journey. It's just a shame you aren't able to come here just like Lindsay from last year because, the Filipinos would have been very welcoming of you girls, especially if you're from Team USA. We're always very welcoming. So
I know that's the thing that's been the hardest for me personally about the pageant being virtual is it has been a dream of mine forever to be able to go to the Philippines. I even just to watch a pageant, just because the Filipino fans are the most amazing pageant fans in the entire world, in my opinion. So the fact that I could have competed in a pageant, not only a pageant, but their crowning pageant, their Miss Earth pageant, which was based in the Philippines,
I
that would have been
know.
the most amazing
Yeah.
opportunity. But I'm really hoping that I still get a chance to travel to the Philippines. I'm really hoping Lindsay does as well. She, like I said, she deserves to have a moment on the Miss Earth stage. So I really hope that they do invite her to future editions, because she does deserve that moment, and my heart really does go out for her. Her entire pageant journey has been virtual, and I would love for her to be able to see the warmth of the Filipino people and to really enjoy that moment. And I know for me, I am going to be trying to go to the Philippines as soon as travel is safe again, no matter what, because I want to meet all the amazing people and who have been helping me along the way. I know like Linnell, who has arranged this interview, she's been the hugest like love and
Yeah, Linnell who
support.
doesn't sleep.
So no, she doesn't sleep because I
She doesn't
talk to her all hours of the day.
I know.
And so
She's
I would
like me.
love to be able to meet these people, put a real person's face to the name, and to really get to thank them, because I've had such an outpouring of love from the Philippines. So I really do want to get the chance to go someday as soon as it is safe.
Yes, please go. I mean, I'm not gonna preempt it, but the travel restrictions are, I think, loosening up a little bit, just a little bit. So who knows? Maybe next year. And because you are an environmental enthusiast and you've done really crazy, wild things, such as I'm so sorry for that. That was my mother calling.
Oh no.
um, you've done some really crazy things with, shark tagging. I think you would really, really enjoy the waters here in the Philippines and what we could offer. I mean, I'm gonna stay away because I don't know how to swim and
Of course.
I'm a little
Well,
afraid. But
at least in San Diego, we have more Filipino expats in San Diego than any other place in the world, I've heard.
what?
And so
So
I
it's like
actually have a
Philippines.
lot of friends here. Like my hairstylist is from the Philippines. My boyfriend's partner at work is also from the Philippines. So we have a
Adobo
lot of them
Nation.
right here in San Diego. So I get a little taste of it, but I would love to go. From all the people who I've met here who is from the Philippines, they have nothing but wonderful things to say about how beautiful it is over there. And so I really would love a chance to go and explore it for myself.
I have no doubt you will come in here because I feel like for anyone who's like a diving enthusiast or like a water ocean enthusiast, I think it's a real must to come to the Philippines. So there you go. When is Miss Earth and what are the things that we need to know to support you, to support your causes and support Miss Earth?
Of course. So Miss Earth is going to be on November 21st. So I'm very excited for that final and to find out who gets the chance to carry on the honor of Miss Earth and to be in Lindsay's legacy. And so as far as how you can support me and help me along the way, you can like any of the videos and photos that is posted about Team USA on the Miss Earth Facebook page. That's where a lot of the content is going to be aired. We will also be looking out for all of our areas of competition where we started off with the getting to know you and the personality check that has already occurred. Next up will be where we share what our color it is we're representing for the competition, since the theme is colors of the earth. And
Oh,
then,
colors.
yeah, and then we're going to also be having multiple interviews and eco challenges along the way, along with all of the things that you know and love about pageantry. Like I said, with the our figure and form, beauty of face, our prelim and final gowns. It's all going to be really amazing. So be sure to follow along and be able to have a view of what all these girls are doing within their communities. As far as how you can support me personally, you could follow me at Marisa Paige Butler or Miss Earth USA. And if you want to help with my advocacy, you can also follow We Clean Trails on Instagram or Facebook to be able to see tallies of what we're doing in our local community in San Diego.
I wish you good luck on your Miss Earth journey, and I hope you do really well. And I hope the whole world gets to see what you're all about, especially at Miss Earth.
Thank you so much. Salamat po, as they say in the
Salamat.
Philippines. I do appreciate all your love and support. Like I said, I've never felt more support in any pageant system than I have here. I truly feel like I have found my home, and I truly appreciate you being able to recognize my passion and love for this system. So thank you so much for having me on your show and for giving me this opportunity to share my story and my advocacy with the world. I do appreciate it, and your support means everything to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the beautiful Marisa Paige Butler who again graced us with her beautiful presence. Thank you so much, Marissa, and good luck. Good luck to you.
Thank you.